Avocados Mexican restaurant in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi faces the tall task of trying to differentiate themselves not only from other Mexican restaurants, of which there are several in the area, including one directly across the street, but also the immense popularity of seafood restaurants, with the location being right by the Gulf. But they do it. Avocados, with 4 locations, actually operates in 3 different states. Their Bay St. Louis location being their first in Mississippi, it opened in 2018. And not even 2 years into opening this location, they had to face what so many restaurants, not only across the country, but across the world had to face: the global pandemic. Many businesses failed, but they kept going thanks to the strength of their food, their staff, and establishing themselves as a vital member of the community. Labor Day 2025 at Avocados in Bay St. Louis, near lunchtime, and the restaurant is starting to fill up. And then the unthinkable happens.
911, what's your emergency?
At approximately 11:46 a.m., a phone call goes into the E911 of Hancock County, Mississippi. Unbelievably, restaurant staff at Avocados tell dispatch that a gunshot has rang out inside their restaurant. Police and emergency personnel were quick to the scene and quickly determined that one victim from a self-inflicted gunshot wound had been mortally wounded. By 11:55 a.m., just 9 minutes after the 911 call, Jeff Hare, the Hancock County coroner, would rule one male was deceased from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He would also go on to say that he was not a member of the restaurant staff. I happened to be out this day driving past the restaurant approximately 1 p.m. or so, and police cars, emergency personnel were still there at that time. And of course, as we all do in the social media age, you go to Facebook, you try to find out what's going on. Not much was being said at that time. It would take later in the afternoon to fully understand what had taken place, something that no one can prepare for. You never could imagine something like this happening inside a business near lunchtime on a holiday. Unthinkable. Later in the day, the name of the deceased would come out: Michael Jeffrey Bopp, and he went by Jeff. We'll never know what Jeff was thinking. He was 59 years old, a resident of Bay St. Louis. He loved the restaurant. Had he planned to do it from the moment he went there for that one last meal in his favorite spot? Was it impulsive? The family doesn't know. We'll never know. Did he think about the ramifications of involving the restaurant in this, people that were there? These are obviously questions that the family will never truly know. But one thing they hoped, they wanted Jeff to know, is just how much he was loved and just how much he was needed. And that's a message that everybody needs to know. Jeff and his siblings had also lost their beloved father in 2021, which had taken its toll on Jeff. But in the end, his family and the restaurant itself want Jeff to be remembered as so much more than that final act. He was a graduate of Lutheran High School in New Orleans. He was a gifted carpenter and could pretty much do anything he set his mind to. And above all else, like his father, he had a tremendous sense of humor.
Ladies and gentlemen, this kid is something else. Nicholas Crabtree LaBeouf out of Lumpkin County. This kid really makes things happen here. He's got it. He's got it. There he goes. There he goes. This kid. Oh, look at him. He could go. Oh, the way. He's at the 40, the 30, the 20. Bounces off another defender. What a dumbass. He's almost there, folks. He's touchdown. The Giants won the pennant.
Back at the restaurant itself, Avocados management and staff are faced with the Herculean effort of how do you stop and mourn and grieve with the family? How do you take care of your staff that is no doubt traumatized by this? How do you effectively go on to maintain the livelihood of your staff and of the business? All questions that had to be answered, and quickly. Some 3 days later, on September the 4th, Avocados would put out an official message from their Facebook page trying to address the, of course, heartbreak, the grieving that was going on for the family by showing their sincerest condolences. And really, you know, people may think that that's just, well, of course they're going to say that. But this is a business that has lost significant income from this event. And it would be easy to be bitter about it. And they wanted to put out the fact that, you know, first and foremost, they were grieving for the loss of life. But they also had to answer back against questions that they were getting. Could this have been averted? Was it an issue with food? You know, they were getting all sorts of crazy questions. And clearly, this was nothing that the staff had done. There was no altercation. There was nothing like that. And they had to move forward. Everybody had to eventually move forward. And as with anything on social media, you can imagine there were some callous and very dark humor comments that came underneath not only the Avocados response, but local news as they were covering it on their Facebook pages. You know, many people saying, well, was the food that bad? And I bring that up because one of Jeff's sisters had a really classy comeback of saying, you know, Jeff, with his humor, would have probably loved that. But we're grieving. Please, at least for a few days, give us a break. What a strong lady. And it was important for us as we were trying to choose somewhere to go eat this weekend that we come and support Avocados. A little more than a month after this tragedy, they're back trying to serve this community, trying to stay afloat, trying to maintain jobs for their staff. They have great food, amazing people, great atmosphere. And a month later, we want to see how they're doing.
Hello, Miss Lori.
We came in about 3:30 on a Saturday. There was only one other couple in the restaurant, but I'm happy to say by the time we left, there was probably 7-8 couples, and it was just starting to get into the afternoon as you're going to have that bigger crowd coming in. So I was happy to see that, happy to see people supporting them. Now, you're probably wondering the macabre question, right? Where did it happen? Well, we don't know exactly, but we can see here that it happened in the back portion of the building where they're actually redoing the whole thing, tearing it out, replacing everything right as we speak. Now, has it affected their business? It has. It has. We certainly can see it as we drive by. There's fewer and fewer cars, even on the weekends. But the true test of time for a restaurant, obviously, is the food good? Is the staff good? And if they have adversity, how do they handle it? Staff was as friendly as ever, attentive, great is what we've always come to expect from this restaurant. How they've handled this adversity, I think they've done it as well as anybody could hope. You can't prepare for this. You just try to make your way through it one day at a time, one decision at a time, and I think they've done a good job. And the food here, of course, has always been excellent. They've always had a really interesting menu. I think more offerings than most restaurants of this type. So Lori ended up going with the queso fundido, which has a combination of chicken and steak, possibly shrimp. I know chicken and steak for sure. And I had just the chicken version of it. All excellent. And a final note, thankfully one silver lining for the restaurant is that a very big event for the Mississippi Gulf Coast, Cruising the Coast, in which thousands of classic car enthusiasts come to show off their cars, to be in parades, to be judged on the best car. There's so many things that go on. For 2 weeks, this brings tremendous business to the area. So if there was a time to help them get out of what I'm sure has been a major financial freefall, major rut, hopefully this will be the time to do that for them. Thank you so much for watching this video today, folks. When I heard about it, I needed to tell the story. Nobody has. And I just needed to get it out there. And if you or someone you know needs a person to call, a person just to listen to their issues, their problems, there are people there 24 hours a day. All you have to do is call 988. And I thought this statistic was very interesting. 71% of adults that are in crisis would feel comfortable reaching out to some sort of mental health care line. And those resources are available. You're never alone. Thanks, everybody, and have an amazing day.